Hey, I wanted to do a quick video about partnerships. To a startup, they can seem like a really amazing thing. I remember when I worked at KPMG, we had these guys come in and they were from a startup and they were sort of explaining to all of us, I was an assistant manager at the time, their amazing, product that they wanted us to talk to all our clients about. And I can imagine what they were thinking in their head. If we go to KPMG, they've got hundreds of clients and then our product will get in front of hundreds of clients. And so me and the other guys listened to them and then they walked out and we all looked at each other and thought, there's no way in hell I'm doing anything. Because I had my own job, right? I had my own job and my own KPIs at KPMG. I had, teams to run that were doing, IT audits and so on, or whatever it was that we were doing. Consulting. Very important consulting. I was very important. But the point was I didn't give a shit about them. When we worked at Tiger Spike, we were selling mobile tech. And so a lot of the time when we went into big clients, they had SAP in there, they had Accenture in there, and they had all these big sort of other vendors. And we thought if we could talk to those vendors that they would push us in there and then, think how many clients SAP has and it would be amazing. And the thing is, if you're working on these partnerships, it feels really good because you have a lot of meetings. We had so many meetings at SAP, for example, where we'd go in and we'd talk to the head of Asia, then we'd talk to the head of Singapore, and then we'd talk to a whole bunch of other people about, what we could do and how we could help them. Same with Telstra in Australia. We went in to talk to all the Telstra sales guys, which there were lots of. And we said, hey, you can sell in Tiger Spike. And of course they never did, never. People don't care about you, well, they care about themselves. And the last thing they're going to do is go into their customers and try and sell somebody else in. So it feels really good to work on partnerships because you do a lot of work and you have a lot of meetings and you can tell yourself that you're doing really busy work, but you're not getting revenue in, right? You've got to get revenue in, you've got to get customers. So the way to make partnerships work, number one, is recognize that and don't spend too long on them. It's very, very important to have a win-win. Your partner has to make money. We did this right in the end, I think, with Telstra to an extent where if they sold Tiger Spike in, it counted towards their yearly bonus numbers, right? And so then, what happened was a guy called Tony Ockleshaw went into all the Telstra guys and said, hey, you can sell us in, it goes towards your bonus numbers and blah, blah, blah. And of course they totally ignored us. So then we went and won like $1 million piece of work at one of their clients. And Tony went in the next year and said, look, if you'd sold this in, you would have had $1 million extra of business. And that would have meant you'd personally made this extra piece of, bonus. And that made them kind of sit up and say, oh, hang on a minute, I could make money personally for this, right? So it has to be a win-win. They will not do anything for you if it's not a win-win for them personally. And you have to understand, if you're selling through a partner, what are their salespeople's incentives? How will they make money if they sell you? If you haven't got that, you will never get them selling. Never, never, never. We didn't just do sales partnerships with Telstra and SAP. We did them with loads of people. All the big four, we did them with Apple, we did them with Google. And generally speaking, they never bore fruit. I think Apple did. 8 years later, after I sold the company, I remember hearing that Chris Watt had finally sold some big piece of work to Apple. And so, look, it was bits and pieces. So number one, temper your expectations. Number two, make sure you fully understand what the win-win is. How are the sales guys in their teams winning? How are they making real money by selling your stuff? That's very, very important. And number three, you need somebody who really cares about this, who's in charge of the partnership. In our case, Tony Ockleshaw was in charge of the partnership with Telstra. And that's why he went back the year later and said, look, guys, you've left money on the table. Are you idiots? And then it was very, very clear to them. And so you've got to stay involved, give case studies, big up their team like it's your team. It's so important. I was actually telling this to my entrepreneur class. One of my entrepreneur classes selling little jars of Green School honey in the Green School shop. And I said, you've got to go and talk to the woman who runs the Green School shop and tell her all about the honey. Tell her the storytelling. So we're looking at sensing, shaping, storytelling, some regenerative concepts around entrepreneurship. And storytelling is so important. You've got to have the shop lady telling the story of the honey so that when someone comes in and wants a Green School souvenir, she says and asks, what have the kids made? There's the Green School branded honey, go and get it. And she's telling that story, right? You've got to be continually on that relationship. So if you have a partnership, you've got to be checking in with the partner. They've got to like you. You've got to know their names. You've got to know the names of their wives and kids or husbands and kids. You've got to know what they like. You've got to know what they're into and talk to them about it. You've got to be their friend. You've got to talk to them a lot. and you've got to make sure it's really worth it for them. So if you don't have those three things, you're going to have a really hard time. Tempered expectations, because partnerships almost never bear the fruit that you think they will. A very, very clear win-win for everyone involved, including the people you're expecting to push your thing. And active management of the partnership by you. What I would say is, it feels like a bit of a golden ticket, right? Because you can get somebody with lots of clients that's, to spread you really far. But the truth is, they really don't care about you. They don't. And it's not going to bear the fruit you think. The best way of doing that is selling yourself. Direct sales, face-to-face. Face-to-face as much as you can. Zoom is the second best. Email is third. Actually, WhatsApp is third. Email is fourth. But getting face-to-face with your customers. Doing direct sales. Giving a shit. They'll feel that you care, right? It's your startup. They care about what you're selling. If you think you're not a salesperson, you are. You care about your startup, and they feel that passion and they want to buy it. They're never going to feel that passion if it's the SAP sales guy saying, look how good this other little startup is. So if you want to get into partnerships to really juice growth, I would say it's the secondary option. The first option is sell yourself as face-to-face as possible and build your sales team and build your sales engine and build your sales machine. Freddie's done this really well at Minikai, right? He's got himself, he's got Karina supporting him, and she's a total monster. He's got Beck and the rest of the guys, and he's got Kiyoki, the CEO who sells. He's got me helping him. That machine is really moving forwards amazingly quickly, because there's sales admin, there's reach out. I don't really like it when people outsource their SDR. When they outsource people to get meetings. I think you should get meetings yourself. You should do all of this stuff yourself, and you should feel the pain of doing it so that you can automate the pain away. And then once you've got your own sales machine working super, super well, think about some partnerships. I wouldn't do more than 2 or 3, and ideally you do one. Find one that really makes sense, where you're really aligned, where you really know them and like them, and then go after that one and manage it actively, celebrate and demonstrate the win-wins. And if that can work, it can be a wonderful thing. And perhaps that partner is bigger than you, and maybe you're an acquisition target to them, so that's maybe another reason why you might do it. But in summary, do not think it's going to be as amazing as you think it is, so temper your expectations. Make sure the win-win is extremely, extremely clear for anyone who's going to be selling, and like them and know them and have somebody pushing who engages with that team. And if you're passive, it won't work. And I've seen this with my companies, I've seen it with the companies that I'm working with. You have to think of those things, otherwise you're never going to have successful partnerships. Good luck.